I welcome back to the newest video snippet from Follet, the video book. Just a word of caution. In this particular little snippet, our incubus quotes an old blues player, Lucille Bogan, who recorded a number of hokum songs, kind of nasty. So there's just a little lyric that's maybe a little blue, so it's best for you to judge who you're going to share this with, but just kind of warning you ahead of time. But other than that, we're going to read the first part of chapter 16, and hope you enjoy it. And once again, I will put the link in so that you can buy a copy of Follet in Kindle format or paperback, so you can read this, well, stimulating little book all by yourself whenever you like, or to someone you love. There you go. Okay, if you're ready, we'll get started. And here we go. Ruth was tired. She'd been working at the restaurant all day. She had enjoyed Mexican food until she had taken a waitress job at the new Mexican place in Clarksdale. Tamales? Her mama and granny and the women in her family had been making tamales in the Delta for 100 years, and theirs on a bad day were 100 times better than what passed for tamales at this restaurant. She was of medium height, with shoulder-length black hair that she liked to wear pulled into a ponytail, and warm reddish-brown skin that some artist friend of hers called raw sienna. When she tanned in the summer, she glowed. Her large, striking amber eyes with irises that changed from golden yellow at the outside edges to an arresting copper splashed around her pupils got the immediate attention of anyone's eye she caught. She was thin and strong, with muscles that had developed, along with scars and knots in her hands from working at gyms when she was young. She was proud of her sleek body. Her stomach was flat, her legs shapely. Men would stop on the street to watch her ass as she walked away from them. But she was just tired and hungry. Thank heavens that Mama had brought her a strawberry and rhubarb pie yesterday. Mama knew how to bake. Her pie crusts were light and flaky and almost melted in her mouth. Ruth wasn't as good a baker as Mama, but Mama had had lots more practice. Follet and Mary had been on the road since late the previous night, when they had left Georgia after the battle and traveled through Alabama. Follet stopping for work near Muscle Shoals. They had driven into Mississippi, south of Tishomingo, skirting Tupelo, continuing through Oxford, and finally reaching Clarksdale in time for a late lunch. Follet had driven to the Riverside Hotel and had gotten them a room, room 6, where John Lee Hooker had stayed. They flopped onto the big old bed and were asleep before they knew it. When they woke up, Mary's stomach growled, and Follet laughed and said, "Let's walk over to Abe's." Follet and Mary left the hotel and walked down Sunflower Avenue to North State Street and turned left. It wasn't long before Mary could see the big sign for the crossroads of Highway 61 and 49. They walked into the unassuming little restaurant and found a little table. The waiter came over and Follet ordered. An order of regular tamales and an order of tamales with chili and cheese, and 2 beers, please. Lazy Magnolia long necks if you got 'em. Waiter smiled and was back with their food and drinks almost before he'd left. The tamales were bundled in 3s with crackers and slaw. "This ain't pie, Follet," Mary said, but neither Follet nor Mary were interested in talk after a first taste of the tamales. They finished the tamales and stayed for another beer. "Let's go back to the Riverside," Follet said. "I've got a job tonight, but you can change into your dancing shoes, and I'll drop you at Red's. If you're not spent by the time I get finished and pick you up, I'll find a way to shake your moneymaker." Mary grinned at the thought of music, dancing, and maybe a little horizontal mambo later on. "You know what Lucille Bogan said, Follet," and she sang the little song to herself about a woman with nipples on my titties big as the end of my thumb. "Want you to grind me, baby, grind me till I cry. Say I fucked all night and the night before, baby, and I feel just like I want to fuck some more. Oh, great God, Daddy, grind me, honey, and shave me dry. And when you hear me holler, baby, I want you to shave it dry." They walked hand in hand back to the hotel. When Follet closed the door of room 6, Mary flew into his embrace and asked him in 100 ways with 100 kisses to stay, even though she knew he could not. She would save her most urgent invitations for later that night. She smiled as she thought about that. Mary changed into a stunningly bright red dress that flared at the hem, bringing attention to her beautiful legs. She added a pair of black and red Almadanza open-toed dance pumps with a 2-inch heel, then a pair of Victorian garnet and diamond flower earrings, with old-cut diamonds centered in the flowers, surrounded by cabochon garnet petals interspersed with rose-cut diamonds set in silver. She needed no other adornment. If the devil with the blue dress on had worn red, she would have looked like Mary. Follet watched her change. Mary enjoyed showing off for Follet as he watched. When everything was perfect, she walked to Follet and held out her hand. "Take me the reds," she said. Follet took Mary's hand in his. "Come on," he said. They walked out of the hotel, turned left, and walked holding hands, slowly to the juke on the next block. They walked in the door, and Follet introduced Mary to the big man behind the bar. "Take good care of her, Red," Follet said. "I'll be back for her later." "Later?" Red asked. "You're a fool to leave her at all." "That's the God's truth, Red," Follet told him. "But I've got to work." "Well then, Follet, do you mind if I dance with your date?" "Why, no, not at all, Red," Follet laughed. "Go right ahead, but you better ask Mary." Follet kissed Mary. "See you soon," he told her. "Oh yeah, you're a 60-minute man, Follet," she said, and then turned to Red. "So, Red, tell me about your juke." Her eyes never left the bartender's. Follet laughed to himself and walked out the door. He turned and walked to First Street and crossed the bridge over Milk Creek. First Street became Pecan Street, and Follet kept walking until he felt the call. A little shotgun house up ahead, painted white with little bushes pushing up against the windows that ran along the front of the house. Yes, that was the one. Follet walked up the little sidewalk and up to the front door. He looked around and saw no one. He opened the door and walked in. He walked through the living room and then back to the kitchen. He found the crumbs, all that was left of a pie. He took a morsel of crust from the plate between his thumb and forefinger and popped it into his mouth. A wonderful crust, and the subtle hints of strawberry and rhubarb that the crust had once held. Follet looked around and saw a flight of stairs at the back of the kitchen. He walked up the stairs and found a little bedroom and a smaller bathroom across a tiny hall. The door to the bedroom was open, and Follet looked in. There on the white cotton sheets that made the bed lay a dark-skinned young woman dressed for sleep in black silk Victoria's Secret sleep shorts and a too large to be anything but comfortable black Bob Marley t-shirt with Bob's smiling face and "One Love" printed in red for the blood of martyrs, green for the vegetation and beauty of Ethiopia, and gold for the wealth of Africa. On a bedside table lay a CD cover for Marley's Exodus and a little glass pipe with ashes in the bowl. Let's get together and feel all right. Follet was struck by the woman's sleeping beauty. Shining black hair, glowing almost bronze skin, well-muscled legs and arms. Follet was eager to see her eyes. And, as if in answer to the unspoken fervor of his wish, the woman Follet now knew to be Ruth rose in her dream, opened her breathtakingly beautiful eyes, and began to dress. "She's 19 years old." This could have been the girl Muddy Waters sang about.